Welcome back to the TWSN YouTube channel. I'm Will Locklin, the lead NBA analyst for the Right Way Sports Network, and right now I'm going to break down the NBA Finals. But before I get into it, make sure to go download the TWSN mobile app. So without further ado, let's get into this series. After a long 2021 season, the finals are here, and this is the finals that I was personally hoping for. Bucks vs. Suns. They were both my playoff teams, so I'm glad we have this matchup, and I think you should be too. Yes, the way we got to this NBA Finals was very unfortunate with all the injuries, but no one who's a really true fan of the NBA and the sport of basketball should be disappointed with this matchup. These are two incredibly fun teams to watch with star players on both sides, and it's going to all be going down on the biggest stage in the sport. Getting the obvious out of the way, Giannis's injury makes this series very hard to project and predict overall. We don't exactly know when he'll be back, but reports said that if the Bucks lost Game 6 in the Eastern Conference Finals, that he could have suited up for Game 7. Personally, though, I think this was mainly due to desperation for the Bucks because it would have been Game 7 and their season would have been on the line, so of course they would have had to kind of force him back. But Giannis could be back for the first couple games in this series, but I wouldn't bet on it. Remember, the injury that he sustained a couple weeks ago, it was a 2 to 4 week recovery period. So even though it's the NBA Finals, he shouldn't be rushed into action before he's ready. 2 years ago, we saw what happened with Kevin Durant. The Warriors rushed him back, and he suffered an even worse injury, and he was out for an entire year. Also, we have to factor in that when Giannis does come back on the court, how realistic is it that he will be at 100%? There's really no way of knowing until we see him back on the court, but these are major factors that are unpredictable but could and likely will play the most pivotal role in the series' outcome. After all, Giannis is the best player in this series when he's fully healthy. With the injury factors out of the way, let's take a look at the on-court matchups and how each team can attack the other schematically. For the sake of argument, I'll just be talking about the Bucks as if Giannis is good to go, since I do think he will be playing for the majority of this series. Starting with the Bucks defense against the Suns offense, once again the Bucks are faced with another deadly pick-and-roll attack, helmed by the Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton two-man game. This will present the Bucks with a major challenge, as when their starting center Brook Lopez is on the court, they'll mostly be in drop coverage on ball screens. This will allow easier pull-up mid-range jumpers, and of course Chris Paul and Devin Booker are two of the best mid-range scorers in the league. But switching with Lopez is a bad idea because then Paul will blow by him for an easy basket every time. So the strategy for the Bucks has to be number one, go to the Giannis at the 5 lineup a lot in this series, and when Lopez is on the court, have him step up on a screen more frequently, or blitz the ball handler into a double or trap. Of course, Paul is too good to be bothered by a simple trap, but that's not the point. The Suns run high screen and roll action often, meaning it's farther away from the basket. If the Bucks can double quickly, Paul will get rid of it to Ayton, but this will allow Giannis more time to help from his man into Ayton's area due to the Suns' initial screens being so far from the hoop. Another key is for the Bucks' other defenders to make timely rotations onto the corner shooter if Giannis leaves his man to help inside the paint. Matchup-wise on this end, I expect Holiday to match up with Chris Paul and PJ Tucker to guard Devin Booker. It should be noted that it would help the Bucks' ball screen defense tremendously if Jrue Holiday can fight through and navigate screens very well, because then they're disrupting what the Suns want to do offensively. Giannis will go against Crowder, which allows him to thrive more as a help defender, Middleton against Bridges, and the bigs and Lopez and Ayton will match up head-to-head. Offensive end for the Suns, I'm curious to see how much off-ball action they run. They've changed it up this postseason based on the team. They ran the offense through Devin Booker against the Lakers, had a lot of pick-and-roll sets against the Nuggets, and mixed in down screens with cutters to the basket against the Clippers. The Suns will definitely start out very screen-heavy with lots of pick-and-roll action since they have a natural advantage because of the Bucks drop scheme. Especially look out for the Spain pick-and-roll play. They run that play to perfection, and nobody's figured out how to limit that action at all this postseason. Overall, though, for the Suns, they have to run the offense through whoever's having an easier time with their one-on-one matchup, Chris Paul or Devin Booker. Tucker isn't as good of a man defender as Jrue Holiday is, so I'll guess that Booker will have to take on a heavier offensive load as the series goes on. Now when we look at the other end of the court, the Bucks offense versus Suns defense, I think it's a bit simpler here. All the matchups will remain the same on this end, but there's more nuance here for all these one-on-one matchups, specifically with Mikal Bridges against Chris Middleton. That will be a super fun matchup to watch. Bridges is an all-NBA caliber defender, and Chris Middleton has the ability to get as hot as anyone in the league, as we saw in Games 3 and 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals. However, Bridges' length will force Middleton into some really tough shots when he's creating for himself off of the dribble in isolations. Of course, he's capable of hitting these shots, but not at a very high percentage against a great defender like Bridges. It's also problematic if Giannis isn't ready early in the series, as they'll need Middleton even more, and he just has a very tough matchup on paper. How the Bucks use Brook Lopez will be interesting on offense. He's proven to be able to dominate in the paint for stretches, even against a team with a very good rim protector, but he will also be asked to stretch the floor, so I expect him to sit in the corner at times, and he has to hit those shots at a high clip. The Suns' defensive scheme versus Giannis will be one to watch. I think it's going to be Crowder and Ayton as the primary defenders for most of the series, Jay Crowder when Lopez is on the court, and Ayton when Giannis is the only big man on the court for the Bucks. Crowder was a part of the Heat team last year that was able to limit Giannis' effectiveness on the offensive end in the bubble, but after watching back some of the film in that series before their first-round matchup in this year's playoffs, I saw quite a few possessions where Giannis was able to get past Crowder more than anyone else on that Heat roster. Really, it's what the Suns can do as a team that may cause problems that is most intriguing. When Giannis is driving in one-on-one situations, Bridges and Chris Paul might be able to flank the primary defender and reach in and bother Giannis, as Bridges has long arms and great awareness off the ball on defense, and Chris Paul has always been good at getting steals from the defender he's not directly guarding. So it's on the Bucks not to let Giannis create all too much at the top of the key and give that role primarily to Jrue Holiday and Chris Middleton. Giannis can obviously still screen and roll, and this will give the Bucks an advantage as Giannis will have less defensive attention on him during the flow of their offense. Giannis' isolations on the low block and baseline will be much more effective because the Suns can't help as well without leaving shooters wide open. A key play the Bucks should utilize when Giannis does get the ball at the top of the key, though, is the dribble handoff action with Giannis handing the ball off to either Chris Middleton, Bryn Forbes, or Pat Connaughton. The Suns will be giving Giannis a lot of space beyond the three-point line, so the Bucks should be able to challenge the mobility of DeAndre Ayton by running a dribble handoff play, which can flow into an open three for a good shooter. Another key factor in the series revolves around the coaches for both teams. Monty Williams has reinforced the fact that he is one of the best coaches the NBA has to offer. His offensive sets are brilliant and effective. He adjusts properly and will readjust when forced to do so in a long playoff series. On the other hand, while Mike Budenholzer has been better and he did adjust the Bucks defense a lot against the Hawks in the Eastern Conference Finals, I still don't trust him, especially against Monty Williams. I think the Bucks will be at a clear coaching disadvantage in this series. Too often, Coach Bud will just adjust too late in a series. For example, he'll adjust after a game is over and not during halftime or mid-game, while Monty Williams does so during a game and between games, and this just gives his team the best chance to win from a coaching perspective. As I said at the start of the video, this series is very hard to predict because of Giannis Antetokounmpo's injury. But with what I've covered in the video, I think there's enough factors working against the Bucks for me to be confident in picking the Phoenix Suns to win the NBA Finals. In how many games, though? I'm going to say this series goes the distance. Maybe that's just the hopeful side in me. I want to see the best series possible, and I think fully healthy, these teams are neck and neck. So I'm going with the Phoenix Suns to win the NBA Finals in 7 games. It'll be their first title in franchise history. Chris Paul wins that elusive ring he deserves. Devin Booker gets a ring early in his career. And if the Suns are able to get this done, then you have to give them their props. They have built this team the right way. Draft your cornerstone pieces and add what you need to get over the hump via free agency or a trade. Here's the difference maker in the series to me. Both teams are evenly matched when they're playing at their best. The difference is I trust the Phoenix Suns to play their best basketball more consistently than the Milwaukee Bucks, and that's why I think they'll win the NBA Finals. In other words, I just think that it's way more likely to get a great game from the Suns than it is from the Bucks. But that's all for me. Before I head out, I just want to remind you to subscribe to the TWSN YouTube channel and like the video if you enjoyed this breakdown. Comment below your NBA Finals prediction. I want to see how you guys think this series will play out. Also, follow the Right Way Sports Network on all of our social medias, our Instagram, our Twitter. Download our mobile sports app. We're a sports media company with over 50 people working on content across every major sport. So check us out, and we appreciate your support. Thank you for watching this video. Have a great rest of your day and enjoy the NBA Finals.